Hello and welcome to Casual Tech Review. For this video, I just wanted to make a short update. AMD has just released a new driver for their graphics cards. I've got a 7900 GRE, so I thought I would try it out and work through some of the issues that I've had. So let's check out how it performs with the new driver. So AMD recently released a new driver. You can see here it's 24.3.1. And it says it was released on the 13th. I didn't see it then, but I did download it a couple of days ago. And I just wanted to talk about it because it is very relevant, being that I did just get a new graphics card, the RX 7900 GRE from Asrock. And so early driver updates are going to be important for tracking the performance of it. So let's go look real quick at the settings on this particular graphics card within this driver. So everything's been reset to default, but let's look at what our options are here. So the out-of-the-box frequency for this card is 2520, for mine in particular, and it changes every time you do it. You'll see here, I'll flip it back and it'll end up giving me a different number here. Okay, it didn't this time, but anyway, this number will fluctuate somewhat as it's trying to determine what it wants its max frequency to be. The voltage is 1.05 volts almost every time, and I'll mess with that as well. But you can let the graphics card kind of tell you what you think it should be set to. You can click on the automatic undervolt GPU. You'll get this little warning here. It's telling me 1.025 is an auto undervolt, a good stable voltage that it can run at. And I always like to undervolt my cards to keep the temperatures under control. You hit overclock GPU, and it will tell you what it thinks is a good overclocking frequency. And it takes a minute here. It's doing some big brain work in there. The little wheel is spinning. 2595 is what it says. So if you wanted to go for some really safe settings, you could literally let the card tell you exactly what it can handle. So we'll hit those. So that's real easy right there. Resizable bar is automatically enabled. I can hit apply changes. Now I've overclocked and undervolted this card and should theoretically get better performance. What's interesting is the memory on this card was what made it pretty unique. The memory is extremely hampered out of the box. The stock frequency, as you'll see here, is 2250. But what they've done with this new driver is they've really increased the overclocking capability for the memory. So if you remember from my previous video, I showed that the max you could get to on the memory was 2316 megahertz. So it was a very mild overclock. If you look at this one now and keep an eye down here, it goes all the way up to 3000 megahertz. So you can actually put like a 30% overclock almost on the memory frequency, which is interesting. So I will definitely test that out a little bit. 2316 is, like I said, the max that it allowed you to do under the previous driver. The other thing that's interesting that we'll take a look at is the memory timing. On my 6700 XT, I could move it up to fast timing and have no problems. On this card, however, when I did that, I found this was the sole factor that gave me a lot of issues, particularly in some older applications and in different benchmarking, like having benchmarking things. So I'd left it on default. We will see how this goes, and I will try some different frequency settings, and we'll see what happens. All right, so it turns out none of the video recorded, but I did just attempt to run through Heaven Benchmark, overclocking the GPU, undervolting it, and overclocking the memory to 2500 megahertz, which is the same memory speed as the 7900 XT. The whole video didn't end up getting saved because it crashed the computer and I had to shut it off, turn the whole system off and turn it back on. So what I'm going to do now is go back in here. I know what the undervolt is. Let me see what it recommends for the overclock. It said 2595 last time. So we'll see what it says. I'm going to 2683, so quite a bit higher. So let's do that. 2683. on a 1025 undervolt. I'm not going to mess with the VRAM at all. And we're going to run the same test again here. Let's open up Heaven Benchmark. So we've overclocked it, we've undervolted it, haven't touched the VRAM at all. We'll run Heaven. And I wish you could have seen the last video. It just completely crashed once the benchmark opened up. All right, so far so good. We appear to not be having any issues. Let me start the benchmark. Okay, so no problems. It seems to be running good. It is pulling right now. The total board power is 276 watts. So it's pulling a healthy amount of power, even though it's undervolted. GPU is running at 100% utilization, or 98, I guess you can see down there in the corner with Afterburner. And yeah, 44 degrees, so staying nice and cool, even though it's working hard. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that undervolting, overclocking is working no problem. VRAM tuning, not working so well. So let me try to set it at 2316, which is what it was before. All right, we're going to try again. I'm going to stop this. So I went ahead and saved that video and started a new one here just in case the same thing happens. So we're overclocked, we're undervolted, and I've put a mild overclock on the VRAM, have not messed with the memory timing. Let's run Heaven Benchmark again and see what happens. All right, so far so good. We have not crashed. Start the benchmark. So at this point, before, it would have already crashed. It crashed almost instantly. So I'm feeling pretty good about this one. So I'm going to stop this video. We're going to overclock it a little bit more, and we'll try again and see what happens. All right, so that test worked okay at 2316. Let's try 2400 megahertz. So slightly faster. We'll open up Heaven Benchmark and run it again. All right, so far so good. Start the benchmark test and see what happens here, but I think we're going to be all right. I think we're doing okay at 2400 megahertz here. Of course, this is not extensive testing, but when it's failing, I am not getting past this point. So I feel pretty good at saying that that's at least getting us through the preliminary, okay, it's working. So let's go ahead and bump it up again. I know 2500 didn't work, so maybe we'll try 26 or 2650 or something like that. All right, so there you saw some of my results of overclocking, undervolting, and really my main focus was testing the VRAM overclocking on the 7900 GRE. And unfortunately, anytime it failed or crashed, I didn't have a recording of that. You couldn't see that. But here's essentially what happened. Overclocking, undervolting, no matter what I did, I didn't have any issues. You obviously can't undervolt too much, but the recommended undervolt had no problem. And again, the card stays very cool. I overclocked the VRAM to 2316, which was the max under the previous driver. I then tried 2500, which crashed. So then I tried 2400, had no problems. 2450 crashed, and anything above 2500 crashed. So it's very odd. I don't know or understand what may cause that to happen, but I think that that's something they're definitely going to have to figure out, because that is the big problem with this card is the VRAM is much slower than even the 7800 XT VRAM. And obviously the 7900 XT is faster still. So I would like to be able to overclock the memory on this card. It goes all the way up to 3000 megahertz within Adrenaline, but anything beyond 2400, I'm getting the immediate crash. And again, let me reiterate, I did not do extensive testing. I literally was jumping into Heaven Benchmark and letting it run for a few seconds. And if it was going to crash, it was going to crash within the first few seconds. So I didn't go any further. I will continue to test it and update. If anybody has any input on anything else I could try, but I don't know what else it may be. It's a new card to the world market, so I'm hoping, praying that AMD will work on these. I don't have any plans to return the card. I like the card. It does great on default settings. It performs very well. But if I could get that memory overclocked, that would be even better. So appreciate anybody's thoughts and input. What do you think? Have you messed at all with overclocking your 7900 GRE? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.